Our scene opens in a graveyard. A figure silhouetted, only outlined by the faintest light of the full moon that peeks out from behind the leaving clouds. It smells of wet earth and storm, and two teenagers find their shoes sticking into the mud as they attempt to traverse the grounds. One wears a varsity jacket, the other wears a raincoat. Why are we doing this? My shoes are toast. Varsity jacket tries kicking mud off his tennis shoes. Be quiet, we're almost there, just a little bit further. Raincoat pulls their hood down to reveal wavy red hair hanging in his eyes, a little bit like curly, but like naturally just down his face, dripping, drenched. They stop at a grave, and Raincoat looks down. Here it is. Varsity jacket crouches and looks at it with a demeaning expression. This is it? As he looks up to meet Raincoat's face, his eyes widen, and we get a glimpse of limbs grasping out and pulling him out of view, pulling him into shadows, and his echoes rip through the graveyard. The scene fades to black. We cut to the interior of a mansion. The year is 1921, and our four main characters here find themselves invited to a dinner party. That of one Arthur Glass, a wealthy doctor in the area. A going-away party of sorts for Arthur's parents. The four of you are there, and you find a few people are there that you've never met. Some maybe you're vaguely familiar with. Why don't we use this time to introduce your characters, describe them to us, and tell us how your character specifically maybe knows the Glass family.
I am Dr. Francis Clark. I've known the Glass family for a while because a great friend of mine growing up was Thomas Maypole. In fact, him and the woman who'd later become my wife, Mildred, convinced me to follow my dreams into medical school. My dear friend Thomas Maypole spent a lot of time with the Glasses, and I spent a lot of time with Thomas, and soon became very familiar with his family, and now treat his daughter as my own niece. So, Hannah, why don't you go next?
I am playing Veronica Maple. I am Thomas Maple's daughter, and I have recently got my private investigator license after years of watching my father investigate and really just try to go after that story. And I want to be a part to solve that story. And I knew the Glass family because they worked for my father, and seeing Victoria in her role as a journalist and whatnot, it really showed me that I, as a woman, could also, because I saw my father, but I never saw females until her. So she helped inspire me to go after that dream.
My name is Cordelia Porter. I am a longtime friend of Thomas Maypole before he passed. And I met Mr. Glass through Mr. Maypole. I knew Thomas back when I was with my husband, and they were friends at the time. I haven't, kept up with him over the years before he passed, but I did meet Mr. Glass at a event several years back. So that's how I know them. I study parapsychology, trying to find the truth behind the mystery and, separate the veil between worlds, and, as it were.
My name is Blair Butler, and I am from Georgia, but a transplant up north, as you see. I have brought with me my grandmother's recipe for fried chicken, and I have used it to build a lovely establishment that is known as Poultry in Motion. And in the back, there is a speakeasy in which the gentlemen of the day like to come and discuss politics, and I like to listen to them discuss it. It's very entertaining. I know the Glass family very slightly, mostly by reading articles and whatnot. I am familiar with Thomas Maypole, but I have not actually met most of the Glass family myself.
I'm only stating, you hear Arthur say, I don't believe in the superstitious or the supernatural, and unless someone comes out of their way to prove me wrong, I simply will not. There's a completely rational, scientific answer behind everything. We just need to find it before screaming paranormal. You hear his wife object. And what about all the things your parents went through? Mother is a writer, for God's sake, Rowena. Her job was to make up stories. The crowd laughs and Rowena kind of shakes her head. Arthur's parents had gone to bed about an hour ago at this point, and the dinner party is kind of winding down. A couple people have already said their goodbyes, grabbed their coats, and you're thinking it's probably getting close to time for you to do the same. Arthur looks to you, though, your little group here, and says, what about you lot? You superstitious folk?
There's a scientific explanation for everything.
Exactly.
I'm 100% in your camp. If we can't explain it, it's just because we're not smart enough yet.
Mr. Clark, if I may, yes, there is a scientific explanation for everything. However, there are sciences yet to be found. It's not to say that the paranormal can't be really explained by science. It's simply men of today's world simply don't know the science. I don't feel that we can outlaw it simply because we don't know it.
You hang your hat on the argument that you can't prove a negative, but I assure you that I've never been involved in an argument where the positive application of logic has proven the existence of the paranormal.
Well, I'm not saying it does. I'm simply stating that we may not have the scientific capabilities at this point for which to prove the paranormal. Wouldn't you agree?
No, if we don't have the scientific capability, when we get the science, then we will have proved it as science, not paranormal. Paranormal is just the explanation for things we can't explain yet. Once we can explain them, they become physics, science, biology. There's nothing weird out there.
We shall see, Mr. Clark.
At this point, a few more people say their goodbyes and head over, and you see Arthur finish off his drink and kind of glance down at his pocket watch, and he says, by God, is that the time? Well, we can see you to the door if you don't mind. I got a big day tomorrow, getting my parents out the door, so to speak.
Yes, we've stayed much too long. You just throw such wonderful parties. One loses track of time. I will find my coat. It's around here somewhere.
Yeah, he says, time is a funny thing, isn't it? And he walks you to the door where there's this, decent sized closet. You see the butler open up the closet to reach in and find your respective coats, hand them to you, and you are then taken outside where there is basically this just little cart ready to lead you to the parking lot. It's a big estate, and they just kind of have just these little, basically just horse-drawn carts that'll just lead you over if you don't want to walk, or if you're too inebriated to walk, then you can just ride this cart over to the parking lot where you definitely should be driving. So you were taken to the parking lot. And everyone at this parking lot, go ahead and make a listen roll for me.
99.
Starting off strong.
A 16, that is a regular success.
30, which is half.
Okay.
What does that qualify as?
That's a hard success. And I missed it. No good.
All right, so you are getting into your respective vehicles, and Veronica and Cordelia, you hear some sort of shriek or shout, and both of your heads kind of snap over at the same time. You look across the street to the graveyard, where you hear this echoed shriek has come from.
Veronica, dear, did you hear that, or was my old ears playing on me?
I heard it. I'm going after it. I need to make sure they're okay.
But I would like to come with. Can I take your arm? I'm not so.
Yes,
strong.
of course.
Ronnie, please. Where are you going?
We just heard a scream.
Mr. Clark, as a medicine professional, you should be concerned of the welfare of whoever is screaming.
I imagine it was some kind of rabbit or fox or some such.
I know what I heard.
Well, we can go check it out
does
together in any
right.
case.
I agree with you, Blair, but I know Veronica, and I've seen that look on her face. We will be checking this out, or she will not be getting into a car. So, okay, Veronica, that's...
And Mr. Butler, as I am parked behind you, you are going nowhere till I am satisfied.
I have 2 legs. I am not immune to walking, ma'am.
Well, let's satisfy your curiosity and go find the owl that did the screech.
Indeed.
All right, so yeah, the 4 of you begin heading, crossing this street into this. It is like a fenced off graveyard of sorts. You just have to go up that sidewalk, go over to the gate, and you head into this graveyard. There's this immediate sense of not dread necessarily, but just this feeling of being in a graveyard at night. Superstitious or not, they're just almost supposed to be creepy. And there's just this sense of you're walking through, there's a tiny bit of fog. You can hear owls hooting in the distance, and I mean, Francis and Blair are pretty sure that that's where the screeching came from, but you continue on. You're looking around. Go ahead, and as you are walking around here, make a spot hidden roll if you are looking around.
Regular success at 49.
Ooh.
I hear nothing, I see nothing.
I got a regular success at 20.
No hard successes?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So those 2 regular successes, as you're looking around, you see something out of your peripheral vision, and your heads kind of turn over. But it's almost like whatever the movement was, you just weren't quite fast enough to catch a glimpse. You just know you saw some sort of movement by, it looks like one of these crypt-style buildings.
I am going to... Did you see that? And I'm going to immediately quickly walk over towards the building and see what it was.
No, I thought it was cataracts, but yes, I did. And I will impose myself upon any person near me and place a hand on him. I'm very old with a cane.
Then I will walk slower when I feel her hand.
Well, I'm certain there's absolutely nothing going on here. It is a little creepy in this cemetery, so I'm gonna kind of put my hand on Veronica's elbow and say, I think it's best if we all stick together, dear.
Yes, let's go.
Yeah, so you're heading over to this little crypt building, and as you head over to it, you can see that the door itself is not latched. It's not open, it's just a little bit ajar. Like you can't see into the crypt, but it is open enough to where you can tell that it's been opened.
I'm gonna reach up and like kind of pull my cane up and like rap on the side. All right, you hooligans, quit playing in people's crypts. It's impolite.
Are you like pushing on it enough to open the door,
No,
or are you just kind of knocking?
I want to rap on like the door frame. You know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, this is indeed odd. Mausoleums like this, they should be sealed.
It has to be something along the lines of Miss Cordelia's thinking that some young kids have gone in here. Maybe we should just push the door open and tell them it's time to go home to their mothers.
Kids these days, no respect.
And I'm gonna start pushing the door open.
All right, yeah, you put your hand forward and you push open this door. You kind of hear the creak of the dirty, rusty hinges as the door pushes open. And inside you see an empty crypt.
Well, that's rather odd. I don't know who would leave a crypt open.
Oh, Veronica, you've always got your flashlight with you. Shine it around a little bit in here.
Okay, I pull out my flashlight and I start looking around.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and make a spot hidden roll.
Fail again. I have 65 in spot hidden and I failed each one.
Thanks.
With that flashlight, what would it be with a 10% bonus? Still a fail?
A fail from like 4 points.
Okay. Yeah, so kind of glancing around, it's hard to tell from this angle. If you went in with the flashlight, it might be a different story, but from out here at the doorway, kind of just shining it in, and you don't really see anything different.
Veronica, I know what you're thinking. It's not a good idea. Let's just let somebody know about this and they can reseal it. Please don't do what I know you're going to do.
There may be
I'm gonna
someone.
do it.
There may be someone inside that is the cause of whatever noise. If we are to satisfy their curiosities here, we may as well get a good look inside.
Well, just get it over with.
I'm gonna take Veronica. Come, dear. The fright of old men has nothing to do with you and I, and we will continue inward.
All right, so you're heading in with this flashlight. You're able to walk a few steps into this little chamber, and you're looking around, and it's easy to see once you have kind of entered into this a little bit more. There's almost like a nook in the wall of this crypt, and as you're looking at it, you're realizing that's a hole. That's a tunnel of some sort. And it's around this time that you hear an echoed yell come from the tunnel itself. It sounds like the same shriek that you had heard earlier. All of you are able to hear it this time.
Not missing a beat, I'm gonna go ahead and start heading towards and into the tunnel.
Since she was 8, she has been like this. Well, my apologies to you ladies. Apparently there was something, and apparently Veronica is going to check it out. I think I, for one, was follower. I made certain promises to her family about her welfare.
Mr. Clark, I am very impressed with this young lady. Good influence you've had.
How big of a tunnel is it? Is it crawling size tunnel or?
From at least the entrance, it looks crawling sized.
I was afraid you were going to say that.
Hey, y'all, I spent some time overseas in the war recently, and I'm used to crawling through the dirt. Perhaps I should go first, and that way, if there's any sort of difficulties, I will be able to warn all of you what's ahead.
Well, I agree with you, but it appears my niece here has just beat you to it. But I agree. Follow her. So Francis is tall, but kind of portly, and right now he's wondering whether he's going to fit through there. So maybe stalling a little bit.
All right, so by this time, Veronica's shoes are disappearing into the tunnel, and Blair ducks down, Blair ducks down to climb in as well. Does Cordelia go next?
Mr. Clark, in this dress, it would be mighty unbecoming for me to go first. And I might need help getting back up on the other side, if you would please.
Ma'am, I am a medical doctor. I assure you, there's and I can see by your face, nothing I say is going to change you. And very self-consciously, because I'm worried about somebody seeing me trying to get this frame through that. So, I'm going to squeeze through the tight opening and hope that it spreads out a little bit, because I'm feeling I am brushing the sides.
All right.
I try to make room. I'm going to I think I noticed this, and I'm going to be like, it's a sign of a happy marriage, dear. Don't be self-conscious. And I will, very old lady, scuttle my way through.
Perfect. So, from what you can tell of this tunnel, at least heading into this entrance, you can see that it definitely appears hand dug. It just looks like parts of it are carved out, and it doesn't look like it is in any set. What am I trying to say here? Like any.
It's not uniform.
Yeah, there are pieces of it kind of like you have to curve in places. Some of it looks like, oh, it's a little bit taller right here. It definitely just looks chaotic as you're pushing through this. So parts of it are a little bit tight, but you're able to go through single file, and eventually you come up to an almost consistent, like 6 foot high single file tunnel of some sort. Still looks hand dug, but it's much more uniform now. And it's about 6 feet high, so most of you can stand, maybe duck a little in some places, but you're able to walk through and crouch a little bit through a good portion of this tunnel, and there's a moment where you're wondering how far it's gonna stretch as you kind of glance back and you don't see the light of the crypt behind you. And then you come to an opening. I will say, Veronica, you are able to see this first as you are kind of stepping through. You can see that this tunnel itself opens up into a large chamber. This doesn't look hand dug at all. This looks like it was built with a good amount of thought. You see pillars, you see actual like walls built in, you see floors. The walls are lined with shelves. Some of them look natural, like they were carved into the wall itself, almost like the wall is some sort of granite or stone or something. You see some bookshelves are built with what appears to be pieces of old coffins, probably scavenged from the graveyard. There are a few books on the shelves. They appear to be of various ages or conditions. And there's no light source in here besides your flashlight. What would you like to do?
I am going to start scanning the room with the flashlight, and I'm going to call out, "Hello, is anyone in here? Are you guys okay?"
Yeah, you hear that echo off the walls.
Mr. Butler, I suspected during the tunnels, but now I'm sure this is not the work of hoodlums and teenagers.
It does not appear to be so.
Well, they may have been resourceful enough to dig a small tunnel like we first came in. They would never have stuck with it so long.
And this seems to be better craftsmanship than I would expect from some local yokels.
Oh, Ronnie, what are you seeing there? Those books?
Seems to be there's bits of coffins too. I've never seen something like this in my life.
I'm gonna walk up towards one of the things. Can I look at the books on the bookshelf and see if anything jumps out at me?
Sure. Go ahead and make a spot hidden roll.
Ooh. That is a failure, big failure.
Okay. I will say, as you're walking in here, you don't have the flashlight, and as it's being flashed or like moved around, in a moment where it is moved like away from you, you're noticing that this room itself seems to have a strange like blue glow to it. So you're kind of able to see at least like the outlines of things without the light in here, and that kind of distracts you before you look over at the books, and all the books are just look old.
Right.
Are there any other entrances or exits to this room? Because I'm thinking we heard a scream. There's nobody here. Do we continue looking, or have we reached a dead end?
Yeah, you start looking around. You move into the room.
Yes.
Yeah, you move in, and you too see that like blue glow on everything. You don't see another door.
Well, I do declare, Dr. Clark, what might have this room being aglow in such a bluish hue?
Oh, there are any number of compounds and naturally occurring elements that could add photophosphorescence to something that's probably mold related and reactive, probably by the
Possibly bioluminescence, or
Look, very good. Yes, I see. I don't need to bring the language down for your understanding. I'm quite impressed, sir. Yes, there's many spores, molds that exhibit this. Maybe they've been triggered by the passing of the flashlight.
do any of these molds possibly have a vocal cord that could have screamed?
I'm not sure if you're poking fun at me or at Mr. Cordelia there, but I have no screaming.
Figure out the science of it all. I figured maybe, I don't know. I know big words. I just don't know how they all work sometimes.
Nothing that I see here would explain the scream that we have now all heard.
In my time of studying the occult and like the supernatural, have I ever come across anything with that same bluish glow or anything?
Go ahead and make an occult roll.
Bro. I have a 90 in occult, and I rolled a 97.
Oh, shit.
There are
And
luck
7 luck
points in this
I'm
game,
gonna
right?
spend the 7 because that hurts my pride.
All right. So for a moment you're like, yeah, I've never heard of anything like this. And then something clicks, but it's not blue, it's green. There was like this green mold that seemed to be left over from a lot of these, the weird cases, the weird stuff.
Right.
Sometimes left this like green mold that had this glow in the dark sort of essence to it, but it wasn't blue.
Miss Veronica, could you just for one moment turn off your flashlight? I just want to see something, please.
Yeah, okay. And then I like click it off.
You click it off and you watch as this blue glow almost like sinks into a sickly green.
Interesting.
I can see that I was reacting with her flashlight.
Yes, I've seen this site of this type of mold. It generally occurs in areas of you won't quite believe me, Mr. Clark, but of the supernatural essence is often very common in different sites where there's been disturbances. So, but I hadn't seen it blue, and I imagined her yellow light was conflicting with it. But you can turn your light back on, dear.
Okay, I turn it on and then I start scanning the ceiling. Do I see anything on the ceiling?
Looking up at the ceiling, you see it's very different from the rest of the room. You have a floor and you have walls that look like you're in like a structure of some sort, and you look up at the ceiling and it appears to be just dirt or rock above you. You do see various like fungi in multiple places of the ceiling, though, glowing as well.
So now that I'm in the room all the way, after the whole glowing discussion, I think as a doctor, I'm going to start to concentrate on the coffins or pieces of coffins there. In what state are they? And are there any remains in or around those coffins?
Okay. Let's see. Is there a particular skill you were hoping to tap into for this?
I think I just want to go with spot hidden right now.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I can make a case for a medicine roll.
Yeah, we'll do spot hidden.
That's what I figured. That is a success.
Okay. Heading over to these makeshift bookshelves, these pieces of coffins are like pieced together in a sense just to hold these various different books. You can see they're not all from the same like timeline here. It's not like they took, only a certain chunk of these graves. They seem to be kind of spread out between different ones, different ages, different levels of damage to them as well. And as you're kind of looking over them, you're not seeing any actual like saw marks or anything like that. The pieces that are in here seem to either be like shattered or like just busted in some way, or even just ripped. There didn't seem to be any tools used to make these bookshelves out of these coffins.
Somebody has very crudely made shelves for these books by using coffins. I would assume used coffins, but I'm not seeing any of the earthly remains of their inhabitants. But this is what can you tell of the books, Veronica?
I start to look through the books and see if any catch my eye.
Sure, you start kind of moving forward to look at these bookshelves, and as you're turning to do so, your flashlight just passes over what appears to be some sort of pedestal on the opposite wall from where you came in.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you see a book open on that pedestal as well.
I abandon all other books and I'm like beelining to that pedestal.
When I see her moving quickly over there, I'm going to go with her.
Perfect. Yeah, you head over towards this pedestal. You see one open book, and the book looks to be in pristine condition. Not like the other ones. This one looks new. And as you walk up, before you can get a good look at this book, the entire cavern shakes, and a shriek and scream erupts, seemingly from your eardrums themselves. It seems to be happening inside your head, and you hear a voice. You hear an awful, impossible voice in a tone that shouldn't exist. It speaks to you in words that only form because your brain allows it, despite your best efforts to drown it out, to keep yourself from hearing it. You're not sure how you understand it. It's not English. But you know it's talking to you, and you know it's saying, "Welcome, my vessels." And the trembling of the earth causes the tunnel that you came in to collapse behind you. Nothing else collapses. The ceiling is fine, but you see just that tunnel itself fall and be blocked off. A little bit of dust is kicked up from this. I'm gonna need everybody to make a sanity roll for me.
$69. Nice.
Nice.
Success.
I had a success on an 18.
I just barely succeeded with a 33. How'd you
Fail with a 57.
All right.
No, 75. I'm dyslexic apparently.
So we have a fail.
Oh no.
I'm going to have you please roll a d10 for me.
Seven.
Okay. So you are going to lose 6 points of sanity,
Okay.
and your only thought right now is getting out of here. You have to get out of this tunnel, and you sprint to where the tunnel collapsed, and you're currently just digging through these rocks, trying to dig yourself through out of this tunnel. You also, those that succeeded, as this tunnel is collapsing, you swear you hear like an echoed voice. You hear someone shout,
"Okay!"
but it sounds faint, far away, almost to the point where you think maybe you imagined it. And then you see Veronica sprint over to this tunnel and begin just digging, like with no regard for her own well-being at this point. She's just digging rocks out of this tunnel, or trying to.
Dr. Francis, maybe we should try to calm her a bit.
Yes, please. Veronica, dear, I'm just as upset about this as you, but let's take a more measured approach here. We could probably use some of these planks of wood to help dig out. You're going to ruin your hands, dear. Please, try to.
We have to get out. There is no other way. We've searched this whole cavern. There is no other way. We have to dig out.
Yes, dear, and we're going to do that. But maybe take a few deep breaths first, and then we'll take shifts with a piece of wood to help move the dirt.
Surely.
Okay.
So you've done an awesome start here. Why don't you take a breather, and myself or Mr. Blair will take the next digging shift.
I'll take Veronica kind of by the arm and take her over to one side and kind of, pat her and coo and talk to her a little.
And as you're pulling her away too, you notice a couple of her fingertips are kind of bloodied from just digging frantically.
And I'll start trying to clean them off with my handkerchief and soothe her.
And while that is happening, grab a piece of wood and kind of pulling Blair to the sides. I think I heard some strange things just immediately prior.
Sounded like said McKay, but it was way far off, right?
Yes, and even before that, there was some voice that something about vessels. Did you hear that? Because it didn't seem like it was coming from around me, but rather...
I thought it was just something I was thinking. I didn't think that was something I heard.
Right, man. Well, we're going to have to keep our heads about this for the women.
So you thought that too?
Yes, but let's not make a big deal of it right now. I want Veronica to kind of get herself back together, and I don't...
Digging now, thinking later. I catch a drift. I'll get a big piece of wood and start...
Would you take the first shift? I think I'd like to go take a look at her hands, make sure.
Yes, sir, I surely will. And I'm just gonna start digging.
While they're having their little sidebar, I'm going to talk to her and say, "Dear, I know you're quite upset, but tell me, did you hear a presence in your mind just now?"
Yes. What did it mean by vessel? Did you hear that too?
I did. So don't fret. Let's just keep this between us. We wouldn't want to scare the menfolk, okay?
Okay.
And I'm going to, as I see him coming towards, I'm going to kind of like hand her hands over to him and be like, "She needs a bit of tending to."
Yeah, she does. My bag is back in my car, but I've got one. Do you happen to have a handkerchief?
Oh, certainly.
It's going to take at least two. I'd like to save one clean for now.
Yes.
And I'll take my handkerchief. And Veronica, dear, please let me just kind of clear. You've got gravel and dirt here in these cuts in your hands, and we're going to take care of those. So that we'll use this other handkerchief to wrap your hands up. And I'm really concerned about, there's this mold and we're underground, and the possibilities of infection here are great. So I'm going to wrap your hands, and then I think really you're going to just have to be on the lookout and an investigative side of things while the rest of us do the digging, because the health implications of your digging with those hands I just can't allow it.
Yeah,
I can't leave you guys to do it by yourself.
But we still have to figure things out, and that's what you're good at, dear. So while we're digging, you put your mind to figuring.
I overhear they're talking, and I'm going to say, "The hole's only so big, ma'am."
I'm going to reach down and grab her flashlight, and I'm going to head back over to the book.
You are heading over to this book, and you get up to it enough to where you're able to kind of look down at these pages. It's not in a language that you understand, but it's in a language that you recognize. And if you take a moment, you might be able to decipher some of it. And as you're looking down at it, you can hear from basically the shadows in front of this pedestal. You hear, "Mommy?"
Amelia, is that you?
You point the flashlight over there, and you don't see anyone, but you know it was her voice.
Okay. And I'm going to look back down at the book because this is the closest I've ever gotten. And I'm now dead set. I need to know what this book is tearing in the fabric of that veil between us and that other side.
Okay. Go ahead and make an occult roll for me.
A 73, so a success.
Okay. You look down at this book, and it's almost frustrating because it's like it's so familiar. You can decipher parts of it, but it's almost like what you can decipher. It's like the letters in the alphabet. If you were translating it to English, the letters are backwards or upside down, and so there's just this difficulty to it as you are slowly working through some of these words. You do happen to look over at the cover, and you're able to see Eltdown shards. And as you're gathering this little bit of information, you swear you hear... You're so certain that you can hear Amelia's laugh. And it kind of makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck, and you remove your flashlight from the book and look over towards the wall again, and you see something impossible. You see a bloodless and skeletal hand stretching out from what appears to be some sort of hole in this wall, almost like a hive of some sort. You see another one come out of the other side and grab onto it. And you see a figure beginning to pull itself from these tunnels. You see bones sticking where there shouldn't be bones. You see a hairless skeletal face, if you can call it that. And as this creature of sorts is climbing out of this hole, you all hear something different, but it's all at the same time. Cordelia, you hear Amelia laughing, coming from this creature. Veronica, you hear Thomas Maple, your father. You hear him talking about a story that he once heard that he would like to tell you. Dr. Clark, you hear your wife. Do come home. When are you going to come home? Blair, you hear the voice of your grandmother, just rambling on about keeping this recipe a secret. As these voices occur, you all look towards this creature and you see it climbing out of the wall. And those of you further away from this wall, you're able to see more of them, all coming out of different holes in the wall and climbing down. You see their spines seem to have just grown like spikes, basically. Spikes out of their spines. You just see their collarbones extend out a little bit further than they should on either side. Their elbows don't seem to exist, and the bone just continues down in different directions. These bony, skin-tight creatures crawl from these walls. What is everyone's dex? As these creatures are climbing down, first I'm going to have everyone make a sanity roll for witnessing these beings.
I got 9.
I succeeded with 37.
I failed.
Succeed with a 48.
All right. Dr. Clark, I need you to roll a d10 for me.
That is a 6.
Great.
That
I
giggle.
don't like the giggle.
Okay.
You're going to lose 8 points of sanity,
Oh.
and your vision pulses a few times before it goes black and you collapse to the floor.
Bro.
I did. I had somewhere on the ground somewhere next to me.
Funny gag. Can you try to go get it?
Yeah.
These creatures climb down and begin scurrying over. The closest one is Cordelia at this point. So you watch one of these creatures reach out, grab onto the pedestal. They don't seem to be like grabbing onto the book or anything. They're grabbing onto the pedestal to like push themselves closer to you. And you see as they push closer, just this spiny form, the jaw drops a little bit, and you hear all of these voices that don't make any sense coming out of this creature. And you see a void where its eyes should be. And as you're looking at this thing, you see it raise up one of its claws, and the bones itself seem to crack and extend in certain places just to make the claws just a little bit longer, and it slashes out at you.
Okay.
Hey, y'all, I don't think she was kidding about killing us here.
As it goes to slash at you, the book itself actually slides off of this pedestal from the creature moving, and it actually pushes the book off, knocks this creature off balance, and it like slams into the pedestal and rolls down on the other side. But you see the few more, you're not sure how many there are, but you see another one like jump over to the pedestal and land almost like crouched in a almost like frog-like position, just looking up at you with bones just jutting out in different places. Blair, you're up.
I am going to look for the nearest one and repurpose my digging wooden plank thing, like the half or 3/4 of a wooden plank I have, and just take a wild swing.
Fantastic. I think, yeah, there would probably be one like coming around the wall on the other side, and once it gets off of the ceiling and hits the stone wall, it does kind of just slide down. There's nothing really for it to claw onto, so it slides down, looks over, and will just basically sprint crawl in your direction. Go ahead and make that attack roll.
It's a regular success on Brawl.
All right. So you go to swing at this thing. The wood slams into it and shatters. It's just too old. You watch it put up its arm, and just the mass amount of bones covering this thing basically just blocks it and shatters it out into pieces. You're holding like a couple wood chips in your hand at this point. You can feel it like vibrated up your arms a little bit, but it
Well, I never.
blocks it, looks at you, and just shrieks. Okay, Veronica, you're up next.
I am going to rush to Dr. Clark's side and like start tapping his face, like very soft slaps, but like, hey, wake up.
Okay.
And they get progressively harder each time.
Great. Let's see. Which one of you has higher luck? Veronica or Dr. Clark?
My luck is 55.
You've got more luck than I do.
All right, I will have Veronica roll luck.
Fail with a 92.
You're slapping away. You think maybe he might be dead. You're not sure. In your panicked state, who knows? So, Dr. Clark, it is your turn now. I will allow you to roll luck to attempt to wake up, just because you are currently being slapped.
Sure, at some point as she was growing up, I made some overly misogynistic comment, and I deserve every slap that I'm getting. That is a fail.
Okay, you just can't wake up. just not in the cards for you right now.
Maybe switch dice.
These are my Seth Skorkowski dice, and if I'm failing, it's because it was meant to happen.
Cordelia, you're up.
Okay, so I'm gonna move away from the pedestal, and go towards the book that they knocked off to pick up the book.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of basically crouch. It's pretty close to the pedestal, but you crouch down, pick that up. Are you still wanting to move away with it, or was your main priority just grabbing this book?
I want to move back with it because I kind of want to know, are they coming after the book, or if there's something to the pedestal that they're trying to get to. I want to test that and see if they're going to come after me.
Gotcha.
You gutsy old lady.
It's in her thing. She's fearless. She's just
Fearless.
You're nailing it.
Perfect. Yeah, so you grab onto that book and you're kind of backing away from the scene as best you can, just clutching the book in your hands. At this point now, you can see in total there's 6 of these creatures. And they have all climbed down. They're off of the ceiling now at this point, and you can see clearer in this green glow the fungus that you saw on the ceiling. It was coming from them. The fungus is like growing off of their backs and like out of where their ears would be.
I can't wait till the movie version of this comes out.
Wait, we're getting a movie? What?
Yeah.
Yeah. All in the works. It's cinematically, the picture you just painted in my head is amazing.
Good, I'm glad. Yeah, and you see them basically like spreading out in almost like a semicircle around you. Not up against the wall, but you can kind of see them like crouch down and just looking at you. And I am going to now roll a d4 to see who is getting attacked this round. Because that's how I don't like making the decision of my victims, so.
Go for the sleeping guy.
So, you assume at least a sense of intelligence from these creatures, because one of them dives straight for the person that is distracted by the sleeping guy, lunging for Veronica from like back turned towards them. This creature lunges towards you. You can make a dodge roll if you'd like. I am going to say this would probably be a harder level, so you'd have to get, what's it called?
Hard success.
Yeah, hard success for that.
And that's half, right?
Right.
Correct.
I rolled a 99.
All right, let's do this. Let's see here.
She is just so raptured up with just slapping you in the face that she just blanked out everything else.
This is for the 10th birthday party. Just going to town. This is for my graduation, you said.
There's a lot of repressed anger coming out.
All right, so the rest of you see this bony creature kind of stand up in a sense, almost like stiffen, and then lunge with this impossible speed right onto Veronica's back. Veronica, you can feel something pierce into your shoulders on both sides. You are going to take 2 points of damage for this as it just pierces in both sides. The rest of you can see it's the bones sticking out of the elbows that have just slammed down onto the back as they then reach over and are like grabbing onto your hair at this point, just holding onto you and shrieking. And since it is the top of the round, everyone who is conscious, I'm going to have you make another sanity roll for me.
8.
Wow.
Success at a 39.
Pass with 52.
Wow. All right. It's the trauma response. You're like, it's fine, things are fine. So, all right, that is their turn. Blair, you're up.
I am keeping my cool so far, but I'm a little angry about the wood, and I hear what I recognize from my time in the war overseas as somebody's skin being stabbed into. And I whip around, and in that second, out of my jacket pocket, pull out my PO8 Luger. And
I had a feeling you were packing.
the one on Veronica, I would like to pop off one shot right now.
Okay, go for it.
That is a 53 on a 70. Hold on, double check. Yeah, 53 on a 70, so a regular success.
Great, let's roll that damage.
That was a D10. Stupid. That's a 5.
All right.
And the range on that is 15 yards if it matters.
Good. Great. All right, so you hear this gunfire just echo out in this chamber. It is loud. Dr. Clark, make a luck roll.
Did it wake me? I said 92. I'm snoring.
Next time, use these. These are doing very well today.
You don't
We'll
want
just
me
have a
jinxing
swap.
your dice. Yeah, the upper middle-aged, overweight Dr. Clark is probably giving there's as much echo from his snoring in this room as there was from the gunshot.
Perfect.
Maybe more annoying.
No. Oh man. All right. Veronica, you're up.
I am clearly gonna stop slapping him, and I'm going to try and like throw an elbow at what's behind me.
Nice. What is that called in this system? We don't
Brawl?
have. Do we have brawl?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, fighting. Okay, fighting brawl. Yeah.
Okay. When it lands on 10 for the percent,
So you got a 10 and a what?
a 0.
So you got 10 and 0?
Yeah.
So that's
100.
10 and 0 or 0 0?
no. I think all zeros is 100.
Okay.
So this you got
And
You just
10%.
rolled 10. 10%. That's a good
Yeah.
roll.
Oh, awesome. Cool.
10%.
It was scary, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was. I was like, is this the 100 or?
No, 0 0 on that dice, and a 0 is 100.
Yeah. Great. So let me ask you: was your goal here to inflict damage on this thing, or was your goal to get it off of you?
I think reflex would just be to get it off of me.
Okay. So as you slam your elbow back, you can feel the bones stuck into your shoulders, like rip out as this creature is just pushed off of you. It kind of like slams backwards, and you hear it slam into the wall on the other side. You successfully escaped its grasp.
Awesome.
Dr. Clark,
Yes.
let me make a roll. So the amount of rounds that I rolled for you to stay unconscious was 6. So I am going to still allow some luck rolls to see if you can wake up before then. So go ahead and make that luck roll.
Here it goes. I feel it. That's an 86.
You're just gonna be asleep for this You can do this whole
wake
thing.
up and just carnage.
Wonderful.
Wait to
Cordelia,
hear the stories.
you still don't believe. You're still like,
That's
nothing.
right. That's right. Perfectly logical explanation for all of it.
What creatures? All right, Cordelia, you're up.
So have I seen any of them like start approaching back at me?
Let's see. Make a let's do a spot hidden roll.
I failed that.
All right, it is definitely hard to tell where exactly their attention is right now because they seem to be surrounding and they're all sort of facing you as a group, so it's hard to tell. None of them are advancing.
Right.
But
okay. So I am going to I have a small derringer that I keep in my bag, and I'm going to pull it out. I don't think I'm going to fire it, but I think I am going to hold it kind of at the ready because if they're not, actively pursuing me, I don't really have a great range on this gun. I think I know not to shoot prematurely with it. So
perfect. Yeah, so you kind of have the book clutched in one arm and a derringer out with the other. Awesome. Okay, back up to the top here. These creatures, you hear another shriek and like a gurgle coming from them, and you hear the occasional cracking and crunching as bones almost seem to like form and reshape in certain places to adjust to whatever position they kind of want to be in at the time. Like shoulder blades kind of pop out for them to be able to crouch down a little bit lower. You can see parts of their spine almost like crunch up and grow as they're trying to peek over other beings around them. Here comes a D4 roll. All right, so they are looking forward, and you see one of them kind of like tap their fingers on the ground. You can just hear each like over and over and over, and then you can hear the scraping of the bone against the granite as one leaps for Blair Butler. All right.
He will dodge.
Okay.
He will fail at attempting to dodge.
All right, so as this creature lunges for you, tell me how that dodge attempt looked. Like, were you looking to kind of like dive out of the way, or were you just looking to like sidestep? What was the attempt?
He tried to sidestep, and apparently his footing wasn't what he thought it was, and he wasn't able to get near the distance he wanted to out of it.
Okay. Yeah, you try to sidestep this one. We'll say too, as this one goes to dive for you, you kind of sidestep, lose your footing a little bit. And as you kind of stumble over, it's not that one that dove at you that got you. One comes up from behind you and then just like jams part of its bone through your shoulder on the other side. You're going to take 3 points of damage for that.
The old clever girl.
And at the end of this creature's go, everyone awake, please make a sanity roll.
There are some benefits to my
A
position.
little.
I failed that one, 86.
Oh, I failed that one too with a 75.
And we're all going crazy now.
15.
Nice.
All right. Those of you that failed, you're going to take 4 sanity loss as you are watching impossible things happening around you, and also Dr. Clark sleeping. That's the real sanity loss. How is he asleep?
How is he still asleep?
I explained that with your science.
Oh, and Blair Butler, you are up.
So I'm on the ground and the reality of it hits me. I've just taken a big hit, not a huge hit, but bigger than I've had in quite a while. And I am on the ground and I'm not quite sure what to do. And I just pound the ground, say, damn it. And get up and I see the pedestal. I'm like, I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to use it to beat one of these things. It's got to be harder than the wood. So I'm going to make my way over there and try to pick it up.
Okay. It is stone, but you will be able to pick it up. Go ahead, and are you trying to like kind of swing it at one, or more of like a throw it at one sort of situation?
That depends on
or like crush it, maybe even.
If it's a massive thing, then probably more of a crush or throw.
Yeah, I think you would be able to do that because it's not necessarily large, it's just heavy enough that it's kind of hard to handle. But yeah, you can definitely grab onto that thing and kind of turn towards the nearest one to you and attempt to crush it if you'd like.
I'd like to do that.
I will let you do like you could do like a fighting brawl, or you could just do flat strength if you would like.
I'll take
you choose.
Flat strength on that one.
Is that cocked?
No,
Please don't be cocked.
it's not.
Okay. Extreme success.
Nice.
Now is where we decide pedestal damage.
You're in the book, I'm sure.
Let me just see.
Let's see, pedestal damage. What's your gun damage? Your gun's a D10, right?
Gun is D10, yes.
All right. Yeah, let's just stick with the D10. Different type of damage, but you know.
4.
4?
4. Those low rolls don't always help from these dice.
No.
Do you have a damage bonus for your? Yeah, because
Your size?
I do.
That's the kind of attack that would apply a damage.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 1d4 damage bonus.
Yeah, roll that.
Two.
Okay. Yeah, so you rush over, grab onto this pedestal, turn and just slam it down. You watch as it slams into what probably used to be like the hip and thigh of this creature. And as it slams, you see bone shatter outward. And then you see, as you have just shattered a piece of this creature, it kind of like scoots away, just like instinctually scoots away from the pedestal itself, and you see pieces of bone beginning to like shove out of the wound of this creature to begin to almost form some sort of like barrier around where the wound occurred. I'm gonna have you make a sanity roll for that.
That
Yeah.
seems appropriate. And I failed it again with an 86.
That's gonna be 3 more points as you're just kind of watching these bones just kind of regrow in a protective manner around this thing.
What is the line for the...
Bouts of Madness table?
I'm at 10% now.
It's 1/5 when you create.
So 20%.
Yeah. So
Okay.
All right, Veronica, you're up.
Okay, the one that was on my back and that I got off, I'm just gonna go for it. Right.
I love it. To go ahead and roll.
I'm gonna marry Veronica.
He's not that good at brawling, so we'll see. I gotta blow him, guys. I want to fail it.
I'm getting like
29. Just a success.
nice. I'm getting Evie from the Mummy vibes.
Exactly. She got suspenders. She's like decking mummies in the face. It's amazing.
Yeah. Okay, do you have what's your damage for brawl?
That's gonna be 2 points.
All right. Yeah, I did not succeed my dodge because I wasn't expecting that to happen. So,
Who would expect an 18-year-old woman to just decide
Deck you.
we're going fisticuffs?
I'm gonna punch this bony thing in the face. Yeah, you just turned around. It's just, I mean, there's definitely, it hurts. It definitely hurts you to just clap this thing in the face, but you can see, you almost hear like the crunch as the jaw kind of like dislocates, and then you see it kind of like shove and like reposition itself all on its own. Go ahead and make a sanity roll for that, please.
Yeah.
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 That is a pass with 47.
All right.
Just barely.
Yeah.
God.
Okay.
Somebody's got to keep it together here, baby.
Dr. Clark.
I can feel it this time. It's. Wait a minute.
No
I have
way.
to check the numbers. This is close. I have a 40 in luck, and I just rolled a 45.
About to say, when you said you feel it this time, did you feel like it was going to fail you? Or- and you can't even use luck to get past it.
No.
Hey, scientifically, the law of averages is about to hit me really good. When I wake up, I'm just going to kill everything.
And this is round 4?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is round 4. All right, Cordelia.
Okay. So since none of them seem to be actively like pursuing me or the book, I'm going to kind of flip open the book and very quickly flip the pages, see if there's like an illustration of these creatures or some kind of indication of something similar to this creature, and see if there's something that we can get from this book.
Okay. So first, make an occult roll for me.
Okay. It's a success.
Okay. So as you open this up, you are going to... You're gonna lose 6 points of sanity. So I will need a D10 roll for that.
Oh, no.
Ever read the books and call it Cthulhu?
Depending on who you ask, some say always read the books. and
That's
call it
right.
Cthulhu.
I rolled a 7.
A 7. Okay, so there's a moment where you're realizing you looked in this book earlier and you were having to translate things, and as you're flipping through it now, you can see that it's translated to perfect English. You flip to like this first page here, and it was translated to English by Reverend Arthur Brooke from Winter's Hall in 1912, and you're beginning to push past a little bit further. Every word is translated to English, and there's a moment where you're flipping that you stop on a page, and you're not even sure what made your hand slam down on this page, but you're looking at it, and you're looking at some sort of spell, and something about this page sends you into like this spiral of fear for a moment. You're torn between knowing you need to cast this spell and being terrified of what will happen when you do. You kind of feel yourself, your hands tremble for a moment. You slam the book shut. You are going to flee in panic. And you can decide how that results, if that makes sense. Where you are attempting to flee. Are you fleeing from the creatures? Are you fleeing from the book? That will be up to you based on like this character. I will let you choose.
Okay. I think she would kind of do the drop it and stumble backwards and just keep moving back until she hits solid wall, which I guess would be away from everybody else, just like back to the recesses of the wall, and just kind of hold there against the wall.
Perfect. All right. Blair, that one's not too happy about being smashed with a pedestal.
Bad.
And you see it doesn't even really move. It's just its neck and head kind of crack up into a position to look up at you. And as it looks up, you hear it shriek again, and then you see its whole body basically stand up and contort backwards in order to bring like what was its legs up and slash at you with one of them.
Super gross.
Awesome.
Yes.
Would you like to attempt to dodge?
Yes. Didn't make it.
All right. How many hit points do you have?
Now 10.
Okay, then I only feel a little bit bad. You're going to lose 8 hit points as this figure slams both of these claws just directly into your chest. You can feel them like pierce into your chest. Parts of it come out your back, and it just stays there. And it pulls you in a little bit closer and shrieks directly into your face.
I would like to yell back at him. I feel like the whole situation I would be yelling as well. So
100%.
So Brendan Fraser in the Mummy.
Yeah. I like what we got going on here.
Yeah. Whole vibe.
I'm apparently the mummy before anything interesting happened.
I think you're Benny.
Before anything interesting happens. All right, Blair, you're up.
Weekend at Benny's.
wait, where are my bennies?
That's wrong.
You're up.
Oh, man,
You forgot your name was Blair.
I did.
It happens.
A lot.
Changed my name 3 times this week, and it's beginning to wear on me.
Right.
I'm going to try to punt him off of me just because he is currently in like this with his legs. I'm going to right on his tailbone, place my foot and try to shove it out of the way so that hopefully I am unpinned.
Fantastic. Go ahead and make that brawl roll.
I am not going to do any of that. I have rolled an 88.
All right, you put your foot up and you watch one of its arms kind of just like crunch around, like its elbow kind of like crunches in the other direction, and it just grabs onto your foot before you can push and put off any weight, and it's just holding on to you. Veronica.
I think she's emboldened now after she landed that one punch, where she's just gonna punch again.
Love
It's
it.
not broken, don't fix it.
She's gonna bare knuckle brawl this thing to death.
She's going to bare knuckle brawl and save all of us.
Right.
Or something.
96.
Ooh, maybe
I rolled a 97 on my dodge, so I have no idea what happens. There's this awkward like punch dodge sort of situation happening, and it's just like knuckles on bone but no damage is dealt anywhere, and there's just this awkward like looking at each other sort of situation where you're like, that worked last time, why didn't that work this time? Dr. Clark.
This is it. I can feel it.
I think maybe you need to put your hat back on.
14. 14 is a hard success.
So, what was Dr. Clark dreaming about?
Dr. Clark was having this wonderful dream about being over at his brother's house for Thanksgiving last time. Ever since Mildred has died, they've taken care to make sure he's always invited over to Thanksgiving dinners. And his two little nieces running around, and the family talking about growing the family some more. And he remembers having, in his dream, he's having this joking conversation with his brother. He says, yes, you absolutely must name your first son after me, but please don't do to that child what Mom did to me and call him Francis. Use my middle name. Call him Sanford. And about the time that he has that conversation in his dream.
Yeah, your eyes shoot open and you hear all of these sounds and crunching and yelling and grunts of pain happening all around you. You sit up and you're able to see that green glow just coming into focus again in your eyes. Cordelia.
Okay. So I want to pursue that spell, but I'm so terrified of opening the book again. So I don't really know what to do. I feel like I kind of have to try. I don't really want to, but I think that's what Cordelia would do. She's gonna keep going. So once she shakes off that initial fear, that drive to see her daughter to break through that veil is so powerful that she just has to try again, and get that spell and try to make some sense of it and stay within her facilities.
All right, so you push back forward. You're going to lose 3 more points of sanity as you crouch down and you almost have to rip open this book because your body just doesn't want to let you, but you close your eyes and you feel your mind loosen just slightly and you're able to pull that book open directly to the page that you need. Back up to the top. I'm going to throw my D4 on the floor. That's okay. I have another. Let's see. Man, Blair, my dice really want you to die.
Not
Here
gonna
it
happen.
comes.
I've noticed. I do have a decent enough spot hidden for that to be apparent.
All right. So we're gonna say this same one that has its claws inside of your rib cage right now, just holding on to you, pulls you a little bit closer, twists around on the other side, basically holding itself up by your body at this point, twisting around. Its head twists and turns around on its torso to look at you as it shrieks again, and both of these claws are gonna come around, just come in probably for your neck at this point. And I'm gonna roll an 86, which I don't think actually succeeds. It does not. So as these claws come forward, almost like in a boxing your ears sort of movement here as they're spinning forward, how do you avoid this? Do you put up your arms to kind of block it on both sides, or?
He is a boxer, a youth amateur boxer, so he does put up his arms and tries to lean back, but he soon feels that with the weight of this creature in his shoulders, he can't lean back too much, so he just sort of sticks there for a second.
Perfect. And you're up. It's your turn.
All right, well, with my arms already up, he is going to try to push the thing down and out if he can.
Sure.
That is on a brawl roll. Wrong mouse, sorry. That is an extreme success.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, so you hear a crack as you slam your arms down at this creature. You see the bones break off at where this creature's shins were. The creature falls to the ground. You see the bones kind of twisting and crunching and pushing into a different position. As you look down and you see that the pieces stabbed into you are still in you. They are just snapped off from the outside here. So you're not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but at least you're not bleeding out all over the place right now.
I think his center of gravity has changed so much with the creature coming off of him and him leaning back that he probably falls on his butt after he notices that, because he didn't have the faculties to keep himself balanced.
Perfect. Veronica.
I have lost track of my flashlight. Do I see it anywhere? Is it on the floor? Is it like, can I just scoop it up real quick and then use that to like go for the head with the flashlight?
Sure. I will say, like, the flashlight itself, the reason why it was kind of lost track of it when it landed, it kind of rolled and the light itself was blocked from part of the debris, like up against it, but you can look over and easily see like the glint of the actual flashlight itself. Reach over, grab it. As you pull it, you know, the whole room glows blue instead, and you're able to swing it over and go ahead and make that roll.
That is a fail at 60.
All right, so as you swing, the whole light kind of arcs over, and go ahead and make a spot hidden roll for me.
Four.
Nice.
Okay. So you don't actually make contact with this flashlight, but as you swing, the light beam arcs over this creature, and as it does so, you hear almost a sizzle throughout it. And it doesn't appear to be burning it, but you can see this almost like green mold begin eating away at the pieces of it that this light came into contact with. You watch it happen so quick. This green mold grows and almost eats like an acid through the bones. You watch as this creature begins to like basically implode in on itself from the spots where this mold began to form. Go ahead and make a sanity roll.
I did not succeed. That's okay.
That's going to be 4 points of sanity as you
Okay.
are watching this creature melt in on itself.
It's not bad.
Dr. Clark, what would you like to do?
Get up.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start scrambling to my feet, and I'm trying to take in the room and figure out what's happening. I think what I see is Veronica is kind of in an interaction with one, that Blair is interaction with one or two. I know at one point there was one that missed him, so I don't know how that's all going down. How many all do I see in the room?
So there are 2 near Blair, there is 1 near Veronica, and there's kind of 1 more on that right-hand side if you're looking into the room, and then there are 2 that seem to be more attention on Cordelia at this point.
Okay. Taking the room in real fast, I'm going to perceive the most immediate danger to be to Blair and Veronica. So I'm going to try to help one of them. And I think based on what she was doing, that the one, Veronica and hers, are very near me.
Yeah.
So I'd like to spend my turn to get up off the ground and then just do a bum rush at the one that she's engaged with. I don't have a weapon, but I'm a pretty big man. And so I'm just going to kind of do office linebacker thing and
Fantastic.
take him down. Hopefully shatter him on the ground.
Say office linebacker.
I did, but I didn't say Terry Crews.
I love it. It painted a picture.
So that is a 3, an extreme success on my brawl.
All right. I'm also going to have you make a sanity roll real quick.
That is a 14. I made the sanity roll.
Okay, so you just charge forward. As you slam into this creature, you're expecting a crunch. But as your shoulder slams into it, it feels like you have just tried to tackle mud. Or you squish into the basically hole that is forming in this creature from this green decay that is pushing through it. Your shoulder squishes into it. You are able to still push it up against the wall on the other side, and you all hear this splat. As you then pull your shoulder away, you are covered in this like green mold of some sort. It is glowing on your shoulder, and you look over at what is left of the creature, and you see mostly, it looks like roadkill up on the wall itself, with pieces of bones just kind of dangling down from it, but it is no longer a creature.
Right, so the last thing on my turn, I'm just going to cut my eyes over to Veronica and make a quick assessment on her status or her health or how she's holding up. My first thought was of her.
Sure. So we'll say, since it's just a quick glance, I'm just going to have you do a spot hidden instead of anything medicine related.
That's a fail.
Yeah, you're looking, there's blood kind of running down, and just that sense of shock for a moment panics you in a way that you're not entirely able to make sense of it at this time. All right, Veronica.
Okay, so is the one that he just like ran into still moving, like done for?
Yeah, it's roadkill on the wall.
Okay, cool. We're gonna swing the flashlight to the next closest one to me.
Great. As you do so, swing the flashlight around, you see it hit, like the beam hits its face, and you see it shriek and push itself backwards. You see all of the bones seem to like crunch forward to try to shield this thing from this light, but as it's hitting it, you watch the mold beginning to grow on the bones and begin to eat away at it like acid, just eating away at this creature. You hear this gurgling and screaming as it's backing into the shadows.
I think that was a spotlight hidden roll.
Nope, wait a second. We went backwards, didn't we?
I think we did.
We did. It's fine. Cordelia, you're up.
Ah. So I just took all that sanity. I'm looking at the book. What's going on with me? Am I still am I able to still read this or find the spell in the book?
Turning right to this page, you see the spell, and the spell it's called Green Decay.
Okay. Am I able to tell what the spell does at all?
I'll say, by looking at this, you're not entirely able to tell what it does, but you know it will help you.
Okay. So then I'm gonna try to cast that spell.
Great. Let's see.
This is a first.
This is the first.
In
Nice.
all the Call of Cthulhu games we've played. for
So do
money.
you have your magic points calculated?
Yes, I have 10 magic points.
Great. I am also going to have you go ahead and make an occult roll for me, just to see something.
I rolled a 45, which is a hard success.
Great. All right. So you are looking into this book, and it's one of those moments where, like, you hear yourself talking, and you're realizing that you're saying the words that are coming from this book itself before you even really consciously decide to read it. You are just reciting the words from this book. And as you're doing so, you can almost see this little symbol on the pages itself glowing brighter and brighter and brighter green. And the rest of you can hear Cordelia's voice getting louder and louder, almost as if she's trying to talk over something. And Cordelia, you hear the loudest scraping and screaming and cracking. You hear like bones twisting inside of your head, trying to get you to stop, and you just yell over the noise louder and louder and louder. You all can feel the cavern itself shake, and then you see cracks forming in the ceiling above you. And there's a moment where the three of you probably have a moment of panic, but Cordelia knows this is the only way you're going to be okay. And you continue shouting this spell, and you see the cracks turning into holes as rays of sunlight are shining down into this cavern. You can see one ray slams down into one of these creatures, and you watch as this green decay takes it over almost immediately. The entire form covered in this green moss, twisting, just decaying in this like acidic twist until they are melting into the ground itself. Nothing left but like a mound of black and green. And as the rocks begin to fall, none of them hit you. You all hold still and kind of cover your ears and just stay where you are, and all of these rocks are falling down all around you. If the sun rays aren't hitting these creatures, the rocks are smashing them. And then everything falls silent. I'm going to have all of you make a sanity roll for me, please.
Oh. I succeeded with a 28.
Nice. I succeeded with a 14.
I failed with a 67.
I think I got a 1 or a 100.
Zero,
No,
zero,
I think a
one.
100.
No,
Double 0 and a 1.
that's a 1.
Yep.
1%.
That is the
Best you can do.
best success you can ever have.
It's only 100 if you have 3 zeros.
Cool. I need to write that down.
So that is going to be 2 points of sanity for the failure. You also notice that, like, there's this moment where you knew it was sunlight, but now you're realizing it's sunlight, and you're kind of wondering how long you've actually been down here. It's only felt like a short time.
How long was I asleep? Is this right? I mean, we left the dinner party. I was out that long?
No, not at all.
It doesn't seem like it. I don't know what happened.
And as Blair talks, Dr. Clark, you look over and you see he is impaled by bones of some sort still sticking through.
My God, man. Don't pull them out.
Yeah, I figured that much.
They may be the only thing keeping you alive right now. So I'm going to take a look at these things, try to determine if one or more of them would be better off out, and which ones are so delicately placed that they need to stay in, and try to do some healing here if possible. So I'd like to make a medicine roll if I could.
Sure, go for it.
That is a 2, an extreme success.
Nice.
So you roll a 2 on this, but you couldn't wake up for
Right.
5 minutes. That was it. That was the luck coming around. That was the
That's right.
Law of
It's law of averages. Science
Mhm.
can explain everything.
Looking at these wounds, you do believe it is best to leave them in. Blair is also in a more shadowed part of this area right now, and kind of looking at the sun rays, you're not sure if
We've got a problem here. We just watched the rocks and particularly the sun be fatal to these bone figures. Am I correct there? I'm afraid if we let the sunlight hit these bones in Blair, that they are going to disintegrate and then he's going to start. We've got to cover him and keep the sunlight off of these. Looks like about 8 bones puncturing into him. So I'm going to take off the coat that I came with, and we're going to kind of wrap it around.
You might
his
want to
body.
try to break off the ends that are sticking out of my back first. It might be a problem. You know, like an arrow,
Yeah, no, I don't want to do any of that.
Okay.
I mean, yes, I see what you're getting at, but that protrusion that's coming out there might actually provide some resistance to these things just working their way out. It's a delicate situation. You're just going to have to...
I'll trust your medical opinion.
We're going to wrap the coat around you and leave those things in there. Doesn't appear to be bleeding profusely from these, that they're holding that in. So I'm not worried about additional blood loss as long as we can keep those things in. Cover them up and get him to some medical attention. You'll need to be in a hospital environment before these things can be pulled out. So, my God, man, did you bring a gun to a dinner party?
Yeah, I always have a gun on me.
Okay. Veronica, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Well, let me take a look. That is your blood, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a few pokes in the back. Nothing bad.
So I'd like to take a look at Veronica. Particularly, I'm looking to see, are there bone fragments in her as well?
Go ahead and make a medicine roll.
25, which is a hard success.
Veronica, make a luck roll.
Uh, 31, which is succeed.
Okay, so you do not see any bone fragments in Veronica's wounds.
Okay.
I have a strong elbow. Sorry, you weren't awake for that.
Do you need me to look at your elbow?
No.
Apparently, he wasn't awake to know the old lady carries around a gun too, but
So my eyes were just turning to Cordelia, the last person, and the doctor and me needs to make an assessment on everybody.
I'm still very much wrapped up.
What do I see?
I am, I think, still on the floor, clutching the book. Just kind of stuck there. I have lost a lot of sanity at this point, and I have just done real actual magic, so I think I'm kind of just in that moment. I don't think I've paid attention to anything else that's gone on.
This is a
Okay.
perfect time to say, Cordelia, you are looking down at these pages and you're watching them change. You're not flipping through anything, but you're watching the pages that you're looking at change, and they seem to depict various scenes. You see a gold-framed mirror hanging on a wall. You see a ship out at sea. You see what looks like tunnels or a cave. And then you see symbols. You're not sure why, but you really feel like you should give this to Dr. Clark.
Okay. So I will very detachedly kind of pick up the book. I don't even think I'll look up and just start walking towards Dr. Clark. And I don't think I'm going to take my eyes off the book as I just kind of hold it up towards him.
Cordelia, I'm going to reach out and take it from her. And as I'm taking it from her, I'm just closing it.
I don't think I'm going to let him. I think I'm going to kind of hold on to my side of the book. And that's when I think I'll make eye contact with him.
So I'm going to try to make an assessment here, because I think I quickly could assess that physically there was no issues here, but maybe using either you back up a psychology roll. Maybe kind of get an assessment of where she's at mentally, so I can figure out how to approach her on this.
Yeah, that sounds great.
That's a 37, but I'm going to spend 7 points of luck to make that a success.
Okay. Yeah, physically she looks fine, and that was kind of your first. At first glance, you knew she didn't really need your doctoring help, but now looking as you went to try to close the book, and she's just holding on to it with strong hands for an old lady. Finally, meeting her eyes, you're looking, and you see she's looking at your eyes, but she's looking past you. She is seeing so much more than your face. And there's this urgency. You can tell she's not of sound mind right now. But you can also tell that she wholeheartedly believes in whatever she is seeing or whatever she's trying to get you to see.
So we're both holding on to the book right now, and I'm just going to look into Cordelia's eyes. Miss Cordelia, I owe you an apology. It seems you were right. There are some things that cannot be explained with science. We've been through quite a lot. Poor Veronica over there is bleeding. Perhaps, I am a doctor, but it's beneath her shirt, and I was wondering, could you perhaps take a quick look for me so I might save, her the embarrassment of her father's best friend having to look at her in some state of disarray. And I'm going to tug the book a little bit more when I feel like Cordelia's focus, if I can get it to turn towards this wonderful young girl that she's grown to be very fond of. And when I notice her focus that way, that's when I'm going to make that final pull of the book to try and get it out of her hand. Poor Veronica, if you do me and her the service of taking a quick look beneath her blouse for the seriousness of the injury.
Is he able to reach me, or am I still very much fixated on getting him to look at this book?
I will say the moment that you do kind of glance over to Veronica and the book is pulled from your hands, you feel like you've accomplished what you needed to accomplish, and you can move over to Veronica if you'd like.
Yeah, I will. I think I'll still be a lot out of it, but kind of just going through the mothering motions, moving the hair aside and getting, trying to work through it, but not quite as vivacious as she might be on another day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to close the book, and I think I'm just going to set it aside for right now. And then I'm looking at everybody, and I think we've got to get out of here and figure out where Blair, Mr. Butler, do you think you could? At this point, I think it's easier for us to try to climb out of here than to continue to dig out the tunnel.
That would appear to be so. I'm not quite sure, but I will make an effort of it, my good man.
Maybe we can arrange some of this debris to make it an easier climb. I don't think anybody's going to be able to give me a boost up, so perhaps we can arrange some debris so that I can climb up and then reach down and pull the ladies up as you help them as much as your injuries will allow. Yeah. How's the debris look? Is there a way that we can pile stuff together to get up and out of here?
I would say, yeah. It would take a little bit of time, but you, especially having some injured members, would probably want to take the time at least to kind of position it in a way where you're able to kind of almost like stair step it in a sense, less climbing and more stair stepping. But yeah, you would be able to do that.
Then I think we're all going to try and get up and out of this.
That sounds like a cracker of an idea.
As I try to take the steps, I'm going to be sure that Mr. Clark has the book. I still feel it imperative that he has that book. So before I'll let him take my hand to help me up, I force the book back into his hand.
Yes, I'll take it, but we should find a suitable place for this book.
The moment that you say that, Dr. Clark, you hear a whisper kind of like behind your ear. You just hear it say, Arthur Glass.
We are right here by the Glass household. Perhaps Mr. Arthur would know what to do with it. I believe we were regaled tonight with stories of his mother's adventures and the weirdness that was. So, and it's right here. So maybe they have someplace safe we can store this thing. You would agree it needs to be safe.
I'll reach up like a weathered old arthritic hand and give him that little pat on the cheek and then allow him to help me out.
Okay.
All right. As you are all climbing out of the tomb and out of the debris, you see that it's morning. You step out and you are dirtied from the exploration below, sweat and dirt, maybe even tear stains just from fear in certain places. Various blood stains from the struggles, but you're out. And then you begin to hear the sound of bubbling and gurgling as you look over to Blair Butler and the green decay that is eating away at his chest, up into his neck. You can see the moss growing over the face
We've got to get him into the car, quick. The cemetery, right through here, right? This is the way we came. And I'm going to try and get Veronica to grab one of his shoulders, and I'm going to grab the other, and we're going to start running as much as possible. Try to keep up, but Cordelia, we've got to get him into a car. We've got to move.
You hold onto the shoulders and you're running, and as you're running, the form is getting lighter and lighter. And by the time you make it to the graveyard gate, you're just holding your jacket.
And Cordelia didn't move. She just says her little rosary and just watches as they...
Veronica.
I'm going to have the rest of you make a sanity roll, please.
I failed that big time, big fail.
17 success.
96.
Those that failed are going to lose 10 points of sanity, and I'm going to have you both roll a d10 for me.
No. I rolled a 10.
6.
All right. Veronica, seeing only the coat being held up, faints. Just passes out, crumbles to the ground. Go ahead and roll D100 for me.
21.
Okay.
I don't like that.
That look on their face.
I don't know if I hate that or if I love that.
We're about to find out.
So,
Do it.
you now believe that by giving that book to Dr. Clark, that he did this to Blair. You believe Dr. Clark is now inhabited by an evil spirit. You look over at Veronica and maybe she's dead too, and it is his fault. He's evil.
Okay.
So I will say, Cordelia, you can react in whatever sort of way you would like to that information. Dr. Clark, you have this urge to get this book to Arthur Glass. And then you look over and you see Cordelia staring at you right after Veronica is just passed out.
I am going to start.
I've made a mistake.
I'm going to start angrily tracking across the cemetery, reaching back into my pocket for my derringer. You did all of this.
Whoa.
This was all you. You killed those people, and I'm going to level the gun at him. You did this to them.
It was an accident. I thought putting the coat on would protect him.
What are you?
Just a...
I can see it behind your eyes. I can see it. Whatever's in there, it's not right.
Just a humble doctor. I've made a mistake.
No, you're not. You're not a doctor. I can see it. I can see it back there behind your eyes.
Cordelia. Veronica is lying on the ground. We have to make sure she's okay.
She's already dead. You already killed
She's
her.
not.
They're both dead because of you. You did this to them.
In the end, it may all be my fault because of a decision I made just a few minutes ago. But look at her. She's breathing.
What kind of vile monster kills his family? What kind of monster lives in you?
Cordelia,
and I'm going to try to shoot him.
I love it.
I'm going to try to dodge out of the way.
Ninja rolls. I don't know where I saw this going, but this was not it.
Well, that's where it goes. I epically failed.
I made an extreme success on that die.
All right, yeah, so you fire, you hear the Derringer go off. And I will say, Dr. Clark, you're uncertain. You didn't hear another shot from the Derringer. So you're pretty sure it has another round in there.
So I'm on the ground. I'm scrambling, trying to put some distance between and while standing up. Cordelia, you've known me for a few years now. We've always got along. I think it's just this horror we've just been through. You were right. There's things that can't be explained, but I swear to you, I've just been trying to help. I made the wrong decision with poor Blair, and I'll live with that. But I swear to you, I just want to make sure Veronica is okay and that you're okay, and we can all just put the gun down.
So, is he able to get through to me at all, or am I stuck in this belief that
these are words of an evil man.
okay? I'm going to, as he tries to like move closer to Veronica, I'm gonna point the gun back at him. Don't you touch her. Don't you dare touch her. She deserves a proper burial. Don't you touch her.
All right, I'm going to stop. There's one more bullet in that gun. And if I continue closer to Veronica, she may fire. It could hit Veronica. Cordelia. You've had a lot of trauma over the last few, I would say few minutes, but apparently it's been hours. This is not what it seems. I am not the evil here. I don't know what it was down there, but it's not me. I'm just trying to get us all to safety. I just want to get Veronica off the ground. I want to get this book to Arthur Glass's house so we can, and I think if we get the book away from us, that you'll feel better about everything. So just, how about I step away and you check Veronica, make sure she's okay.
Don't move. Don't you move an inch. And I think I will have forgotten that I have already fired that other shot. And I will try to shoot again, but get the click, click, click.
Right. And since I don't know the jump shot, I'm going to dodge that invisible bullet.
You do a great job of dodging it.
Automatic success.
Yeah, you kind of roll out of the way and you hear it just continuously clicking as she's trying to fire at you. Do you have any reaction to that?
Well, the first reaction is stark fear because I think I'm just going to get shot. And then it's a click. I'm going to stand all the way up and I'm just going to walk to Veronica. And I'm looking at Cordelia, who now poses no threat to me, the 83-year-old woman. I'm going to check on Veronica. And would like to kneel down near Veronica, and I want to check to make sure there's a pulse, everything.
Yeah, I will say at this point, leaning down and kind of checking on Veronica. Veronica, you're able to come too. And you see Dr.
With
Clark
just a few
over
little
you.
light taps on the cheek. So there's a method to how you do that.
You don't just slap him silly.
Veronica, can you stand up, baby?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Kind of under my breath, Miss Cordelia has had a break. She's not well. I've got to get this book to Arthur. Will you stay with her?
Yeah.
She believes me to be evil, but I don't know. We better see how she reacts to you because she thought you were dead. And now you're up.
Okay. I turn to her and I go, "Hi, Cordelia. Are you okay?"
Make
I'm
a sanity
okay.
roll, Cordelia.
I failed it.
Oh no.
How
It's
convenient.
not going well.
For who? I'm having a great time.
So, Cordelia, you watch Dr. Francis Clark lean down next to the body of Veronica, and you watch him whisper some sort of dark spell under his breath. And then you watch bones begin exploding out of different parts of Veronica's form. You watch the collarbones extend and the elbows extend, and you watch one of those creatures that you saw down below forming at Dr. Clark's will. And you know your only chance is to run.
So yeah, I think I start muttering, "What have you done? What have you done? What have you done?" And then I just start backing up, tripping over headstones here and there, and manage to take off as fast as an 84-year-old woman with a cane can, but just really pushing it, because at this point she's outnumbered. She has no weapon, and she is watching him resurrect his family as these horrible, godforsaken monsters that are calling out to me by name. Like, it's horrific.
Yeah, you watch Cordelia run, exit the graveyard, go across the street, get to her car, and with a screech of the tires, begin driving away. What do the two of you do?
Veronica, we've got to get to Arthur's house, but there's something I have to check first, and I'm sorry. And I'm going to pull her blouse down over her shoulder, and I'm going to look at those wounds, and I'm looking for any signs of bone fragment or any of that green mold.
You only see a wound.
Okay. I promised Thomas I'd always look after you. That was...
You have. I'm okay.
It was... We better get to the house.
Let's go.
So glad that I'm going to look down at my jacket laying on the ground. I remember the few years that we've known Blair, from the benefit, the charity ball for Thomas Maypole up until this time. And I'll reach down and I'll grab my hat and place it back on my head, but leave the jacket laying there. We'll come back for him, Veronica, and we'll start heading towards the house.
All right. You head to the house, knock on the door. Dr. Glass answers, and he looks tired and a little worn out. He looks surprised, and he says, "Dr. Clark, it's been nearly a year. What can I help you with?"
No, we were just here last night. Arthur, are you okay? It was last night, your dinner party.
We had a wonderful roast duck. You politely insinuated we had stayed too long. We left.
I'm sorry. I haven't held a dinner party in quite a while since my wife fell ill. And he kind of looks over towards his butler, who you see kind of like step forward a little bit, almost in like a not bodyguard sense, but like kind of stepping forward as backup here. And he says, I'm terribly busy. What can I help you with today?" And he's just kind of looking the two of you over.
there's been and I have this. Your mother used to have all those wonderful stories. We found this book. It was, I don't know, it saved us. It was the death of us. I hear you say, man, we were just here last night. Blair, Miss Cordelia, myself, and Veronica. This is 6 hours later, and Cordelia's run off mad, and Blair is dead. And we need to give you this book.
He kind of glances past you and he says, when you say run off mad, did she take my car?
She took a car. I didn't notice which one, Veronica. Did you notice?
He just glances behind him and whispers something to the butler. The butler kind of walks back. Look, as I said, my wife is quite ill, and he kind of, are you like gesturing the book toward him? Yeah, he reaches out and he takes it and he's like, thank you for the book. Do you want me to call someone for you?
I have a vehicle. We parked there last night. Did our walk back take us past the parking area of this big estate?
It
What
did.
would we have seen that we wouldn't have registered at the time?
Yeah, kind of glancing back, you can see the parking lot in the distance and your vehicles aren't there.
We left our car there just last.
I can send a telegram if I need. Is there someone we can?
Maybe just a cab, or Veronica. We could call my brother. Just a cab. We'll go back to my house, Veronica. We'll be safe there. And this is all very strange, Arthur.
And
You haven't seen us for a year?
He kind of reaches out to kind of touch your shoulder like a comforting, and he says, why don't you come in? We'll get someone called for you. We'll make sure that you're going to be all right. And he kind of ushers you both into the house where you do eventually sit down, and you're kind of dazed for the majority of whatever conversation happens inside of this. You can see the calendar about a year later. It just doesn't make sense. Tell me how, or I guess tell me where Dr. Francis Clark and Veronica's stories go from here after leaving the Glass Mansion.
Dr. Clark has gone back to the house him and his wife shared for so many years, and probably been surprised to find that slip covers had been put all over all the furniture. Everything was in sheets, and with a little bit of phone calls and whatnot, finally reached his brother, who had done his best to take care of the house, and wondered what had happened to him for all that time. And a lot of discussion and explanations that never went anywhere. Dr. Clark just retires. He's not interested in practicing medicine anymore. He's been out of it for a year, and his last medical decisions didn't work out well. He spends his time in that old house, big enough for a family that they never had. Occasionally gets visits from his brother and sister-in-law and their young nieces and their ever-growing family. He just spends out his day in his parlor, reading newspapers and staring out the window.
Veronica goes back to her apartment and tries her key in the door, and it doesn't work. Some random guy comes up to the door and is like, "What are you doing?" And she realizes her apartment has been leased out to someone else. It truly has been a year. She goes back to the investigative office that she had begun just working at nearly a week. And it had been a year. She had lost her license. They thought her dead. And she has to renew her license, and she spends every waking moment trying to figure out what happened to them on that night. She takes normal cases once in a blue moon, just enough to keep food on the table. And she is constantly searching for anything to describe what had happened that night, tracing every single paranormal thing, whether it turns out to just be kids in a ghost costume or actual paranormal activity. And in the back of her mind, she always thinks of Cordelia and wonders where she had gone and what happened to her.
On that note, Cordelia Porter, you speed away from a scene in a car that's not yours. The further away that you get, the calmer you become, but I'm gonna say you probably have a loss in memory after that. Once you regain your composure, what does Cordelia Porter do?
So I go back to my flat that I stay in, that is paid for by my estranged husband, who has been sending letters and things like that that have been piling it up, but I never respond. So nobody even actually realized I was gone for that time. But I realize the differences. I see, the new neighbors and the dust piling up and the letters that have, piled up at the doorstep, and slowly start to piece together that I've lost a year and some time there. And in my search to get answers for that, reaching out to people, I slowly start to turn the people who do know me, who have been helpful in my ever-growing quest, investigation into the paranormal. I begin to kind of put them against me. They start to think I actually am going crazy. It's been a running joke amongst my friends for years that my estranged husband tells everybody I'm in a sanitarium so that he won't have to explain why he's, dating other women and not with me. And after about a year or so of ranting and raving, eventually, I think Cordelia actually, with just the stress of, hearing her daughter and the years of investigating and then the year loss and everybody turning against her, I think she does actually kind of snap. I think the years have just taken on too much, and what little friends she has left do put her into a sanitarium. And ironically enough, she ends up exactly where her husband has been telling everyone she's been for the last several decades. And she spends out the remainder of her days alone and just playing back memories of her sweet little girl running through fields and picking flowers and pretending that she's not where she is.
Blair Butler goes inside of the glass mansion, feeling a little strange. There's this out-of-body experience that won't stop. And the light hurts. It just hurts so much. And you start walking around these empty halls. You see dust in the corners. It's almost like the glass mansion's been empty for decades. You step in, you're walking around, and you just have to find something something to hide from the light, from the sun. You open one of the doors upstairs, leads into a closet. Looks like a linen closet of some sort. You reach in, you pull out a white sheet. You drape it over yourself and yeah, that feels better. Covered in this white sheet, you walk into one of the quarters, sleeping quarters. You're so tired. You walk in, draped in the sheet like a ghost, and you lay down on the bed. This is the end of the story, the graveyard shift. But something tells all of you, whatever you dealt with in that tomb, it's not quite finished with you yet.
London is no stranger to the fog, but rather than roll in, this mist seemed to rise, thick and slow, devouring the dark alleys of Whitechapel from the bottom up.
A Cthulhu by Gaslight Mystery. Whitechapel. Dark Mist.
So how are we feeling so far?
Terrified.
Good.
It's awesome.
About dead.